The final morning of the 2023 Absa Cape Epic dawned to reveal blue skies, offering conditions worthy of the grand finale. After 2 days of rain and mud, the milky sunshine was a welcome sight. Given the ferocity and chaos of the previous 7 days, the teams were hoping for a day of clean racing. It was also the last opportunity to win a stage or to make a decisive general classification move. Looking back, the 19th edition had arguably been the most exciting race in the event's history. The Absa Cape Epic had begun in Mirandal with a 27-kilometre long time trial. The prologue featured a hard-packed and fast-paced course which suited the powerful Toyota Specialized 91 pairing of Matt Beers and Chris Blevins. The 2022 third-place finishers started the 2023 race in the same way they'd begun the previous edition, with a stage win. Scott SRAM's Nino Schurter and André Frischnecht were second on the stage, just 7 seconds down, with the defending champions Absa Cape Speed Company posting the third fastest time. Stage 1 started and finished in Hermanus, featuring a 98-kilometre course through the Himmel and Ada Valley. It provided Lucas Baum and Gael Gege with the terrain they required to launch a series of scorching attacks, none of which they were able to make stick. But they were able to put Blevins, who was struggling with a stomach bug, in trouble. Toyota Specialized 91 lost 8 minutes and their yellow jerseys, while Willia Pirelli Factory survived the accelerations and gale force winds to surge to a stage victory ahead of Schurter and Frischnecht. The result handed Scott SRAM the yellow Chivita leaders' jerseys, ahead of the men who had finished third on the stage, Absa Cape Speed Company. The following day presented the longest stage of the race and a 116-kilometre route towards the east of Hermanus. Blevins had bounced back from his illness the day before and took the racing to the rest of the elite men's field. The course ensured that the group was slowly whittled down, while Schurter had a near miss with a fallow deer. On the run back to Hermanus, Willia Pirelli punctured, and Absa Cape Speed Company got bogged down in the sand. Toyota Specialized 91 allowed Scott SRAM to build on their general classification advantage over Baum and Egger before outfoxing Schurter and Frischnecht to win the stage. Stage 3 was the first transition stage of the race. It took teams from the coast in Hermanus inland to Oak Valley in Elgin. The 100-kilometre route featured 2,300 metres of climbing. Yet, despite the toughness of the stage, a group of 4 teams entered the finale together. Absa Cape Speed Company, Willia Pirelli Factory, Toyota Specialized 91 and Scott SRAM looked set to contest a fierce sprint finish when Frischnecht began to struggle. Dropping into the final single track off the group, the men in yellow were happy to just nullify time losses. Ahead, Beers kicked into the last trail first, with Blevins on his wheel. The American backed off to allow Beers to establish a buffer, then sprinted to victory ahead of a fuming Baum and Egger. Fueled by their frustration, Absa Cape Speed Company powered into the mid-race time trial on stage 4. Despite posting the fastest times at the early time checks, Baum and Egger faded in relation to the stage winners in the second half of the course. Beers and Blevins powered through the closing kilometres to win their fourth stage of the race by 22 seconds. Scott SRAM were third on the stage, conceding 2 minutes and 23 seconds to Toyota Specialized 91 and 2 minutes and 1 second to Absa Cape Speed Company. The Queen stage, which took in the Absa Cape Epic's most infamous climb, Groenlandberg, was started in terrible weather conditions. Water tumbled off the higher peaks and flowed down the trails to make for exceptionally difficult riding. Baum and Egger conquered the conditions best, climbing away from the elite selection on the highest slopes of the mountain before time trialling for 60 kilometres to stage victory, despite being chased by Schurter, Frischnecht, Beers, Blevins and the Singer Racing combination. Simon Stipton and Martin Fry kicked in the closing kilometres to finish stage 5 in second position, while the men in yellow finished third and lost their race lead. Heading into the penultimate stage, Absa Cape Speed Company pulled the yellow jerseys on for the first time in torrential rain at Lawrenceford Wine Estate. Sadly for Baum and Egger, they would not wear them for long. Having broken away with Toyota Specialized 91, they suffered a major mechanical. Baum's drivetrain was destroyed by a piece of wire, which meant that the team had to backtrack to the tech zone in order to replace the broken derailleur. The mechanic job took the Absa Cape Speed Company team 4.5 minutes, but in total, the issue cost them just over 10 minutes. Beers and Blevins, meanwhile, were capitalising on Baum and Egger's misfortune to win their fifth stage of the race. Schurter and Frischnecht were the primary beneficiaries, though, as they reclaimed the overall race lead. This meant that Scott SRAM took a 1 minute and 32 second lead into the grand finale over Beers and Blevins, while Oberliet Speed Company had 5 minutes and 32 seconds to make up on Schurter and Frischnecht if they wanted to overturn the odds once more. In the CM.com UCI women's race, the prologue set the scene for a three-way tussle for top honours. The 91 Songo Specialised combination stormed to stage honours after starting relatively steadily. Sofia Gomez-Villafañe and Katharina Nash utilised their single-track prowess to seize the first orange jerseys of the race. Behind them, Efficient Infinity Insure's Vera Lossa and Kim Lecourt posted the third fastest time. They were just 7 seconds slower than the day's victors. E4.net Seattle Coffee Co. were third on the stage after Amy Wakefield hit the deck inside the final kilometres. Stage 1 produced high drama. First, Lossa crashed, then had to stop to fix her shoe with duct tape. Duct tape made another appearance 15 kilometres later when Wakefield crashed into a freshly pruned fruit tree. The branch pierced her bicep in dramatic fashion. Her E4.net Seattle Coffee Co. partner Lil taped her arm up before leading the charge in pursuit of 91 Songo Specialised. Wakefield and Lil caught and then passed Gomez-Villafañe and Nash before racing away to stage honours. In so doing, resting the orange jerseys off the shoulders of the 91 Songo Specialised team. The following day saw the race largely neutralised by the flat run into and back from the Stanford trails. In the Paardenberg, the racing was entertaining, but the teams in the CM.com women's competition were content to bide their time for the final kick on the tracks behind Hermanus. Lossa exploited a moment of weakness from Gomez-Villafañe to slip off the front of the group. Once the trail opened out to road, Lecourt attacked, bearing herself in pursuit of her teammate. Having bridged across, the Mauritian was able to ride home with her Namibian teammate in order to claim the Efficient Infinity Insure team's maiden Absa Cape Epic stage victory. Stage 3, 2 days after her crash, saw Wakefield more confident of her ability to race with her injury. As such, the E4.net Seattle Coffee Co. team were able to push the pace, with Lil driving the tempo to put Gomez-Villafañe, Nash, Lossa and Lecourt under pressure. In the second half of the stage, first the Efficient Infinity Insure and then the 91 Songo Specialised teams dropped off the pace, which allowed the women in the CM.com orange jerseys to further extend their general classification advantage. The mid-race time trial proved a pivotal moment in the momentum of the CM.com UCI women's race. Despite a crash for Vera Lossa, the Efficient Infinity Insure team powered through the 47-kilometre long stage in the fastest time. They won the stage over Wakefield and Lil, though the E4.net Seattle Coffee Co. team managed their efforts and limited their losses to just under 3 minutes. The erstwhile race leaders, Gomez-Villafañe and Nash, faded out of contention completely, however, conceding 5 minutes on the day. Overnight rain made for a wet and wild start to the Queen's Stage. It also provided more opportunities for the unexpected to happen. Again, Lossa went down, crashing in a puddle, and then being brought to a halt by Yolandi de Villiers, who fell on top of her and into a bush. It did not dissuade the Namibian and her teammate Lecourt. They went on the attack on Teekop and rode away in a long-range stage-winning move. Wakefield had a challenging day as her injury began catching up with her. Yet she and Lil still held a comfortable general classification buffer over the Efficient Infinity Insure team. Going into Stage 6, it looked like the E4.net Seattle Coffee Co. team just needed to finish safely and keep Lossa and Lecourt in their sights. That plan was working well through the mud and the rain in the first half of the stage, until Wakefield punctured. A cracked rear rim meant that despite attempts to reinflate the wheel and then insert a tube, Wakefield and Lil could not get it to hold air. Eventually, Wakefield opted to ride the 8 kilometres to the tech zone on the rim. All told, the incident cost the women who'd started the day in the orange CM.com UCI women's jerseys 39 minutes. Efficient Infinity Insure won the stage and seized the general classification lead going into the final stage. The standings heading into the grand finale. Efficient Infinity Insure held a 25-minute buffer on the former leaders, E4.net Seattle Coffee Co. 91 Songo Specialised were third. Typically, the final stage of the Absa Cape Epic is an easier day, But following 2022's dramatic grand finale, the 2023 race features a challenging Stage 7. The trails to Val de Vie featured two significant climbs. First to the summit of the Lawrenceford Saddle, then to the highest trails on Botmaskop. A minor ascent to the top of the Old Bethlehem Game Camp provided the last challenge. Single tracks worthy of the celebration day, like G-Spot, Bobsleigh and the Cape Cobra. In total, the stage featured 80 kilometres of racing with 2,400 metres of climbing. Before departing for Val de Vie on Stage 7, the UCI men knew exactly what they had to do. Chris Blevins was bullish for the opportunities the stage presented.
Yeah, it's the last day. It's the day. And we've got really what's just a kind of a beautiful opportunity. So really grateful to be in the fight for the overall, and we'll give it everything we have.
Well, we are with the back against the wall. Yeah, unfortunately, the mishap yesterday with a bit of bad luck, or a hell of a bad luck. Now it's all about making up the time again, try to close the gap, and yeah, make the impossible happen.
With only 80 kilometres to make or break the Absa Cape Epic campaigns, the pace was intense from the off. Every day the UCI men start like they're on a mission. But on Stage 7 in particular, they blazed off the Lawrenceford start line and flew into the lower slopes of the saddle climb. It was clear that in order to make the most of the day, they'd have to enforce an opportunity on the first climb in order to be able to maximise the potential time gains. The CM.com UCI women had less pressure as their general classification standings were well defined. Staying safe would be the primary order of the day.
Yeah, it's super special. I think I'm a bit more nervous than any other day, to be honest, just because the main focus today is to definitely keep it super safe and not risk anything. So not saying we're going to hold back, but we're going to really make sure we get to the line in one piece and have no mechanicals and yeah, look after each other all the way to Val de Vie.
I think to just go all in, we got nothing to lose. Specialized is 2 minutes behind us, so it'd be good if we can defend that. But yeah, keep it smooth, tidy to the finish.
Oh, just enjoy it and just, it's been a hard week and we've had some highs and some lows, and we're just, excited to wrap up the 2023 Cape Epic.
Rolling off the start line, the women set out towards Val de Vie at a steady tempo. With a 10-kilometre long climb from the gun, the route would soon split the field later in the ascent anyway. So there was no need to push the pace right from the start. Nonetheless, new leaders Efficient, Infinity and Sure were at or very close to the front from the off. Matt Beers and Chris Blevins of Toyota Specialized 91 drove the pace as soon as the climb to the saddle began to ramp up. This put Scott SRAM on the back foot as Andre Frischnecht struggled to follow. Only Albert Liet Speed Company and the Singer Racing team of Simon Stiepjan and Martin Fry could follow. Further back, the groups were split asunder. Nino Schurter attempted to pace Frischnecht over the saddle within touching distance of their rivals. But once Toyota Specialized 91 were out of sight, the men in yellow would not see them again. Descending into the winelands, Beers and Blevins held a slender advantage over the group behind, which is being led by Lucas Baum and Georg Egger. On the trails of Dornier and climbing towards Eden, the gap between the leaders and the chasers on the trail began to close. At the back of the chase group, Toyota Specialized 91 had an insurance policy. Tristan Norkier racing solo and willing to accept the time penalty for being more than 2 minutes ahead of his partner Adrian Boyches. Should Beers or Blevins puncture, Norkier would be able to provide them with a wheel. Albert Liet Speed Company dragged the chase group back to Beers and Blevins in time to enjoy the famous G-Spot trail outside Stellenbosch. Despite having the pressure of a chase to save their race, the Scots Ram combination styled it out on G-Spot. Shirt in particular put on a show for the cameras and fans. Then it was back to the serious racing, looping around the back of Stellenbosch before starting the climb of Botmaskop. With Baum and Egger now seemingly focused on taking the 5 minute and 32 seconds they needed off Shirt and Frischneck, they made an alliance of convenience with Beers and Blevins. Singer Racing, meanwhile, were content to follow, opting not to affect the general classification battle by pacemaking on the front. Dropping into the Bannock Valley from the summit of Botmaskop's trails, the leaders were treated to the final Toyota Tough section of the race. Though the single track was smooth and fast, it did provide an untamed moment for the chase group. Scott Stram had Canyon Northway for company when they startled the Grijsbok. It darted frenetically between the riders, turning tail and not only causing Schurter to crash, but then running right past the Swiss star while he was getting up after the wildlife-enforced crash. With only ad hoc time checks to rely on, Schurter and Frischneck had an idea of how much time they were losing, but that was reinforced in the Bannock Valley when the Scottram riders could see the helicopter following the leaders across the valley from them. It was then that the men in yellow realised their pursuit would be in vain. The Cape Cobra Trail then provided another thrill in the final 30 kilometres. Smooth, fast and wide, the single track on Old Bethlehem Farm was a highlight of the race in its entirety, as well as one of the most entertaining sections of the stage. For Schurter and Frischneck, the race was, by then, just to get to the finish and salvage a podium place. At the front on the flat gravel roads leading towards Val de Vie, Orbea Liet Speed Company launched a final attack. Beers drove to bring them back but needed Blevins' assistance to close the gap. But once the move was neutralised, the day would always come down to a sprint. For Toyota Specialized 91, there was no need to get involved in the sprint. Beers and Blevins were content to let Baum, Egger, Stiepjan and Fry contest the finish. Crossing the second polo field, the teams were already in full sprint when Fry clipped a barrier marker. The German cartwheeled spectacularly, while Stiepjan up ahead had no idea of his teammate's crash. Orbea Liet Speed Company cantered across the line to rapturous applause. Baum and Egger's win was their second of the race. Moments later, Beers and Blevins crossed the Val de Vie finish line and began their agonising wait for 1 minute and 32 seconds to tick by. Once they did, the celebrations could begin. Toyota Specialized 91 had won the 2023 Absa Cape Epic. The victory was Matt Beers' second following his win with Jordan Through in 2021, while Chris Blevins became the second American man to win the race after Howard Grotz. The day's podium saw Lucas Baum and Georg Egg on the top step, with Beers and Blevins in second. Martin Fry had hobbled across the line and stepped up next to Simon Stiepjan in third. Orbea Liet Speed Company's winning time was 3 hours 7 minutes and 26 seconds. Scott Stram finished fifth on the stage, conceding 5 minutes and 54 seconds to the stage winners and 5:44 to the race winners.
Yeah, you know, it's a real honor, like I said at the start of the stage, just to be in a position to go for it like we did today. And it's an honor to race with these guys. I've got a lot of respect for the Speed Company guys and how they race, and obviously Nino and Frishy are absolute gentlemen and legends of the sport. So it means a lot. You know, we're racing for Songo, which is an unbelievable non-profit, getting kids on bikes, starting BMX just like I did. So we've been donating our prize money from the week to Songo. So it's extra sweet with those stage wins and the overall. But yeah, you know, it's we work so hard as athletes for moments like this, and I think it's a testament to just showing up and believing in yourself and your team and your partner.
Yeah, overall it was a constant performance by us. I think we can be happy afterwards, after a week. Right now I don't know about him, but I'm sure he's feeling the same. Of course, we're disappointed that the win wasn't possible today. Especially me, I was suffering in the beginning quite a lot. Could not help Georg that much. I was barely hanging in. Specialized had another super strong day. They didn't do any mistake. So yeah, I mean, happy with the second place, but disappointed for not winning.
Yeah, it was a hard week. We were always close for a long time in the leader jersey. but in the end, two teams were definitely stronger than us. Right now I'm a bit disappointed. Expected definitely more, but I think it was maximum we could do together, and that's racing.
The Toyota Specialized 91 team's race back to the yellow Chiavita jerseys had taken them 7 days, but that surely only made standing atop the final podium all the sweeter. Their accumulated winning time was 26 hours, 17 minutes and 4 seconds. Orbea Leert Speed Company were 3 minutes and 49 down, with Scott Schramm a further 22 seconds back. In the CM.com UCI women's race, the stage started with a slow burn. The ascent from Lawrenceford to the saddle naturally thinned the field gradually as the team struggled from the week's efforts. Initially, RA Cycle, CSE, Echo Pentest and Dika Viva Vito remained in contact, but they faded off the group, as did the 8 Capital, Valley Electrical, Best of Performance and She Untamed teams, though they remained with the 4 best-placed general classification teams until much nearer the summit. Having reached the top together, Efficient Infinity Insure, E4.net Seattle Coffee Co., 91 Songo Specialized and Canada Vas Arabe entered the trails in the Stellenbosch winelands together. The next section would feature a number of kickers, which hardly featured on the profile but hurt on the trails. But first, there was a downhill drag towards the first water point at Dornier Wine Estate. On the next kicker from Dornier to Eden and G-Spot, first the 91 Songo Specialized and then the E4 Seattle Coffee Co team dropped off the pace. This left the women in orange, Vera Lossa and Kim LaCourte, with Greta Steinberg and Monica Calderon for company. Behind, Amy Wakefield and Candice Lill gave chase, while Sofia Gomez-Villafaña and Katharina Nash were less hurried in their pursuit. Stellenbosch's famous G-Spot trail provided the women with a thrilling roller coaster ride to break up the climbs. LaCourte, Lossa, Steinberg and Calderon took it relatively easily, focusing on flow and safety. Wakefield and Lill pushed a little harder, but none of the women enjoyed the trail quite as much as Gomez-Villafaña and Nash. The onerous ascent of Botmascorp failed to split the Efficient Infinity Insure and Canada Vas Arabe teams. Nor could the sweeping Toyota Tough descent along the bobsleigh single track into the Bunhook Valley. The dark, loamy soils were in perfect condition following the rain the day before and provided a grippy surface for the riders to push the pace all the way down. Having built a lead on the climb to the top of Botmascorp, they extended their advantage on the trail. By the bottom of the trail, the leading quartet of riders had an unassailable advantage over the chasers. E4.net Seattle Coffee Co.'s hopes of winning the final stage had disappeared, while 91 Songo Specialized were happy to cruise to the finish. On the run into Valdeby, LaCourte and Lossa discussed the situation with Steinberg and Calderon before conceding the stage to Canada Vas Arabe as a thanks for helping them throughout the grand finale. Moments later, Vera Lossa and Kim LaCourte rounded the final bend and rolled up the Valdeby finish line. Resplendent in their orange CM.com UCI Women's Leaders jerseys, they were the 2023 Absa Cape Epic champions. The Efficient Infinity Insure team were understandably elated with their victory, which seemed impossibly unlikely just 36 hours before. E4.net Seattle Coffee Co.'s Wakefield and Lill cruised home to Valdeby to claim third place on the day. The final finish line brought closure to their wild race and ended an adventure which neither woman would forget. Greta Steinberg and Monica Calderon's stage victory could signal good things to come in future participations.
To be honest, I'm quite a realist. I'm not the biggest optimist. So coming into this race, I knew, it needs a lot of luck and strength to pull this off. I didn't quite believe we could do it, but it's then even more special if you can.
All the victories are special, but maybe Cape Epic is always like been my dream race, and I kind of maybe scared to dream about a victory. So it's really something special.
Insane up and down week. I mean, we've had all the highs and all the lows. But you know, this is the Cape Epic. We're here for every moment that it presents us. And yeah, it's not about what happens to you, it's about really how you handle it together as a team, what you overcome, and you just keep pushing forward no matter what. So I think we can be really proud of that.
This race is everything, and like it really means the world has. It meant the world has to win it, but you know, like that's life and that's racing, and yeah,
There's always more.
there's always another one.
Their winning time for the day was 4 hours, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Vera and Kim Lecourt's Absa Cape Epic victory was one for the record books. Not only did the Namibian and Mauritian win the CM.com women's jersey, but they also sealed the Absa African jersey title in the process. The Efficient Infinity Insured team's margin of victory was 32 minutes and 24 seconds over eFort.net Seattle Coffee Co. 91 Songo Specialized were third, with Canada Vasarabe fourth. With the UCI titles decided, the category and special jersey winners of the 2023 race were also celebrated on the final stage. The first of these teams home was the Paiga Eurosteel squad of Philip Bass and Alex Miller, the Absa African champions. Carl Platt defended his NTT Masters title with Thomas Mieser of Legends Bulls Mandrake. They were just ahead on the trail and the overall standings of the amateur category winners, Digger and the Doughboy, Mitchell Docker and Ian Boswell. Bart Brenchens and Abra Azevedo won the Grandmasters category to extend Brenchens' record as the event's most successful age category racer. In the Xara jersey competition, Songa.info graduates and Toyota Specialized 91 development riders Zolan Kakeni and Ntlantla Nonkasa were victorious. Cycling legends Ibon Zugasti and Alice Pirard of Albia Factory won the Toyota Mixed category title. This is how the age category and special jersey competitions played out after a fiercely contested Absa Cape Epic.
Toughest thing I've ever done in my life. But I crossed the finish line 8 times.
Crossing the finish line 8 times, in all manner of weather conditions, from bright sunshine to pouring rain. From racing to perfection, to toiling through adversity. Every 2023 finisher deserved their moment of glory. Their chance to celebrate their team success.